Welcome to Compression, the quest to $100 million in just 1 year. Join me, your host, Logan Freeman, in this one-of-a-kind interactive podcast experience where I am on a quest to compress 3 years of achievement and production into 12 months. And no, the answer is not to just work harder. I'm bringing you not only ideas and concepts that are complete at the theoretical level, but they're also effective at the applied level. Look, guys, knowledge is not power. It is potential power. Knowledge plus massive strategic action equals power. We're talking about strategy, systems, accountability, all in real time. This is Compression. Big week. Welcome back to another episode of the Compression Podcast. I just got off of a webinar that I was hosting for our investor group. It went absolutely phenomenally. I knew not very many people were going to join because it was at 10:30 on a Friday of Memorial Day weekend. So that's okay. But the message was clear, concise, and compelling. And I was very excited about that. I'm getting to the point, Jerome, where when I'm presenting more in a roundtable discussion than just here's the slide, here's the points I want to make. And I think it went really well. And so I used to get really nervous for the webinars, and I still do, but not to the point that I was previously. And that's what I think is growth right there, which is really nice. And what I was talking with you right before Zoom let us know we were recording is a renewed sense of confidence. Not that the pressure is still there, and pressure is a privilege, but a renewed sense of confidence and new tools to pull out of my toolbox and my tool belt to deal with the new pressure that I'm putting on myself. But anyways, we'll dive into that today on the Compression Podcast. Big announcement. We hit the halfway mark. We are at $50.6 million. 50.6 right before June, which was huge for me because, obviously we're tracking the months. We're getting ready to jump into June, and we knocked out 50.6 in 6 months, guys. I mean, I do the math on that. That's like $8,250,000 a month or something like that, or 8.1, something like that. It's incredible. And, you asked me how I'm feeling, and I'm feeling very blessed, grateful, appreciative of all of that. But I'm really, really feeling good about one thing that happened last night, and we'll jump into that today. Very cool episode today because it is not only the halfway point, boom, 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 50.6, but we're also celebrating my wife's birthday, which is super important. The kids are at home today. I'm going to get to spend some time with them after this and a long weekend. So really excited about that as well. But Jerome, here's one thing I struggled with. So the intentionality that you're going to get out of this episode is, are you beating to the beat of your own drum? Are you beating to the beat of your own drum? Are you the drummer of your own drum? So, and I'm gonna reflect on that here, but the struggle that I've had previously with accomplishments, with achievements, is not feeling worthy of those achievements, not feeling like it's real, not seeing or being appreciative of that. And the affirmation that I have, that I write down quite often, is God has created everything in abundance. It's simply up to me to claim what is mine. That is from the late, great Ron Willingham. Ron was a sales writer, coach, author. I've got all of his books behind me in my sales section over here. And he really went into the psychology of sales, which I loved. But, he was a very faithful man too. I got to speak to Ron right before he passed away from cancer 4 or 5 years ago through LinkedIn, believe it or not. So that was really, really cool. But one thing that he helped me realize in life was, when you're taking the right actions, when you're accepting God's grace, when you're being the best version of yourself, you're making right choices, you're prioritizing the right things, why should you not appreciate the accomplishments? And that framed that way, it changed my whole perspective. And so here's the struggle. The struggle is not resting on your laurels. It's acting like you did before with the same level of grit, tenacity, perseverance, confidence, humility that comes along with all of the accomplishments, because it's really easy to just kind of pull back for a second. And this is where I see a lot of people struggle. When they start to have some achievements, they start to hit some goals, they kind of pull back a little bit. And what old Uncle, not old, but what Uncle Grant Cardone, Uncle GC told us in the 10X rule is that's when you put the pedal to the metal. When it's working, push harder. When nobody else is doing something, do more of it. And so, but that's the conflating issue, right? Is continuing to do more, but also being in the moment, celebrating your wins like you've coached me to do multiple times this year. Last year took me a while to get there, but also keeping that same grit and tenacity and perseverance, being a true compressor is not an easy task to do. And so how I'm feeling is a little conflicting, right? Yeah. The numbers there, the results are showing up. We're making the changes, making the right changes. The pipeline is there. Good, good, good. But also, how do you accept that grace? How do you accept that feeling of accomplishment and keep the pedal to the metal down? If anybody knows me that's in my circle, pedal's always down. You know, this week I've run harder than I have any other week this year, probably. Or just as hard. And so for me, I have to make sure that I'm beating to the beat of my own drummer, meaning what's the purity of intention? Why am I doing what I am doing? Why do I continue to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning? Why do I continue to read, to grow, to push the envelope, to keep that momentum going? And the why for me is very strong. I've shared it multiple times, read my affirmation on this podcast. And I've got some other reflections on that, but it's my why is very simple. It's to become the best version of myself. To whom much is given, much is expected. My impact in Kansas City, nationally, probably internationally now. I have no idea who's listening to this show. I should, but thank you for tuning in. If you are tuning in, is growing, right? Somebody emailed me, said, I listened to the Brilliance episode, and that was some of your all's best work. You know, that was some of your all's best work. And they said, it reminded me of myself 20 years ago, and I've lost that fire. But listening to you and Jay every single week has reignited that fire. That's what I want to hear. That's impact. That's legacy. That's building something that is impacting people in a way that is very inspiring. So that's really exciting for me, man. I mean, the big week, the inflection point, I knew it was coming. It's here. I'm accepting it. I also have this, this feeling of, okay, that's great. You also have all these other, projects to continue to work on, but I've got a renewed sense of confidence because I have a team behind me. I'm using leveragers. Not everything relies on Logan anymore. We're continuing to hire. We're putting things in place that will help me focus on doing this, doing what fills me up, doing the webinars, doing the content, talking to the really important folks, meeting with the right people, looking at deals, growing, learning, all of those things. And one thing that is very apparent this year is the fact, and we probably talked about this February, March, probably April, and May, probably this month, but this will come out in June, was the fact that if you can stay self-aware, you can stay humble, you can focus on vulnerability and stay confident instead of cocky, you can continue to increase your impact and influence if you have purity of intention. So the why behind what you're doing. And for me, it always goes back to that why: faith, family, fitness, future. So I recommend everybody having a very strong why. There's a lot of things moving, changing right now in the world, right? And I said that in December, I said it in January, February, but we're seeing it now as well. When I do these webinars, I do a ton of research to bring out empirical evidence to back up my claims, right? I'm very opinionated on my blog. I'm very opinionated with the stance that I take. Some might call it contrarian. I just call it smart because I'm doing the research. But when I dive deep into the research and I bring it out and then I create a narrative, I bring those numbers to life, people start to grab hold. And what we're seeing is more acceptance of these philosophies, these theories, because it's not philosophy, it's not theory, it's fact. And the fact of the matter is that the world is changing every single day, and it's continuing to change. We are going to hit, and I'm calling this right now, this year, the rest of this year, we are going to hit an economic time that I have not seen, especially being in business for the last 7 years. And I got real pumped up on a previous episode about talking, about this is your time. That was 3 months ago. What have you done? You're hearing what we're doing. You're hearing the changes that we're making, what we're implementing on a regular basis. Your opportunity is great still right now, but you have to be a compressor. You have to be moving forward. Do not get stuck. So this is the big thing. Paralysis by analysis. Everybody always asks me, how do you get past paralysis and by analysis? I texted you this, Jerome. I said, if nobody has ever told you that you cannot do something, why would you believe any other way? It's only when you start seeking outside perspective, opinions, advice, bad advice, is when your dreams get killed. When I look at Isabella, I look at Ezra, and I look at how much fun they're having with the little things in life. My number one job, not number one, but a top job as a dad is to never kill that creativity, not let the world kill that creativity and those dreams, those desires that are inside. Thankfully, mine came back out. I'm grateful for that. No idea how. Maybe we'll do an episode on it someday. But I look at those kids. I look at kids that have not been conformed yet. And man, it pumps me up. It gets me excited. And so if somebody's never told you that you can't do something, there's no reason to think otherwise. And so when I set out a goal to say, hey, I'm going to do 100 million in real estate, some of the big guys are like, great, I do 100 million a month. That's fine. I haven't. But what I have not ever done is set the goal to do 100 million in a year. And we're sitting here 6 months in and hitting the 50.6 mark. Maybe I should have set it at 200. Maybe I'd be sitting at 100 right now. I don't know. But I thought I set a really good goal. I think it's still a really good Goldilocks goal. Next year might be 250. I have no idea. But nobody told me I couldn't do that. And if they did, I didn't believe them. So that's that new renewed confidence, man, that sense of belief that I think is missing. And I also realize something that you harp on a regular basis. Who's your five? Who's your five? They pulling you up, they bringing you down. My five is Jerome, Taylor, my two kids, but whatever. Parker, Corey. That's four. I really have four. And those four have never said, no, that's five. Parker, you, Corey. No, it's four. Four. I can't count today. I'm never really good at math. I always have an Excel sheet in front of me to do it for me. Those folks never say you can't do something. My dad told me when I was a young kid, set your mind to it. You can do it. I realize now that means, are you willing to sacrifice everything else to get it done? Everything else that's just noise. And so I'm reading books like Effortless. I'm reading books like Charlie Munger and Poor Charlie's Almanac, Naval Ravikant, Jocko Willink, The One Thing, Essentialism. And the theme is very, very easy to see. It's minimize. Cut out the crap. Cut out the noise. That's what you got to do. I'd love to know if the Lakers were beating the Golden State Warriors right now, but I don't know. Heck, I think I like watching.
They're playing? Are they playing?
I think I like watching the games. I turn it on. I'm like, this is boring. I'm like, man, what's going on here? So at the end of the day, beat to the beat of your own drum Don't listen to the outside noise. Listen to that voice inside you. Tap back into that creative, unique genius that is inside every single person and bring that out. I've just decided to direct mine into building a business. I am a capitalist. I know I am. I never tell anybody I'm not. I'm also a rational optimist. Okay. I used to just be an optimist, but now I'm a rational optimist. If I was just an optimist, I'd say I do $1 billion this year. I'm not Howard Marks. I can't raise 4.7 billion in 3 weeks, but I will, because nobody's told me that I can't. I talked to some people the last 2 weeks and said, hey, we get this relationship going. You don't have to be out there raising money anymore. What? What do you mean? What do you mean? That's my job. Nah, that's not your job. That's my job. Your job is to go find deals, put them together and manage them. Okay, I'll do that instead. So I know I went on a 15-minute rant there. I got my arms up in the air because I'm going to push pause. I never know where we're going to start, where we're going to end, what we're going to talk about. But that's what's inside me right now, Jerome. I want to hear some thoughts.
Yeah, so first place I'm going to go is to Bella and E or Z-Man, because, domestication of the children is the thing that gets them ready to go and be cogs in the machine.
Right.
And people will scratching their head. Yeah, I said domestication of your children, right? The whole game is to get them to be obedient and follow the rules and do all the things to make your life easier as a parent or a teacher or whoever is responsible for the caregiving, instead of allowing them to be wild and free. I don't know if long-term that actually serves them.
Right.
And so you have to make a decision in your household on what it is. Do you want them to drive you crazy for a few years and then go out and live this just amazing life that they don't see boundaries and feel like they have to go ask somebody for permission to go do the thing, right? Do you want them to be people who feel like they're inadequate and that, the steady state is I can't do it. Mm-hmm. I need help versus I can do it and I just need to go and do the thing.
Right.
I just need to go take action. I need to prioritize this. I was talking to Billy Kills and he was saying, I was debating a decision that I haven't made since 2016. And he said, Jerome, I was in a great place, and I hope he doesn't get upset with me for sharing his story. He's like, I was in a good place and I made some purchases that, me at this age thinks is pretty silly when I was the age that I was when I made the purchase. And it was about the age you are. He said, but if I had not done that, then there's no way I could be who I am today. Mm-hmm. Right. And, well, why are you saying that in this frame, man? The thing is this, right? You have to go seek wise counsel in whatever you're doing. Your children see you as the example. They're going to mimic whatever you do. And so if your steady state is you're not good enough, you're deficient, that's what your kids are going to pick up. Oftentimes when I'm talking to coaching clients, I'll say, well, what advice would you give to your kid if they were in the same predicament? And boy, does their face light up and they got all the answers.
Yep.
And I said, so why is the advice applicable for the kid, but not applicable for you? Right? Whether it's dealing with the relationship or making a decision that's scary or whatever the thing is. And they always say, well, because it's my kid, I got more responsibilities. I got all this other stuff. And I just always beg to differ with them and suggest that it's not. So, march to the beat of your own drum, or beat to the beat of your own drum. Yep. Be the thermostat versus being the thermometer. You setting the temperature in the room, creating the environment. All those things are real. And I think when you are actually a compressor, right? When you are the source that people are coming to for that guidance, you're going to be able to do those things without a whole lot of question.
Yeah. Because
you have your priorities set. And that's what Billy told me. He said, Jerome, what are your priorities, right? You are talking about something that's pretty obscure and abstract. But how does this align with your priorities? I'm very priorities driven. So, here are my 3 priorities. Logan just gave you his 4, right? Faith, family, fitness, and future, right? What's your priorities? And then make decisions in alignment with the priorities. It makes everything else so simple. Very much back to the one thing which you just mentioned, right? And this is what absolutely kills analysis by paralysis. Hey, I'm looking for this type of deal. Does this fit the criteria? It does not. I move to the next thing.
Yep.
And so on and so on. You can what if anything to death. But if you can get wise counsel, set your priorities and the parameters around those priorities, decision making becomes very easy because you've got a frame for doing it. And that's where people get stuck. They don't have an actual framework to guide them through the process.
Right.
These phones are super powerful. You got headphones, microphones, all this stuff is appropriate over a specific frame. And we aren't living our life with frameworks. And, people probably get confused with all the models you throw at them. But if they had the models and they implemented the models and actually took the time to see what the models were, they could apply it against their problems.
Yes.
And then make decisions extremely quickly and then move on to the next thing. And I think that there's just so much opportunity there. So I don't want to go on a rant, but I would, you said 50.6 million. 50. And you keep saying 6 months, but it's not June yet, brother. That was in the first 5. All right. So you got to divide, and we got behind in March, and now we're back on target and ahead of schedule like we're supposed to be. But what were the wins for the week? Because there's something in there that happened. We were in the 30s last time we talked.
Yeah. So biggest win was being able to be a deal maker, and a true deal maker manufactures opportunity out of thin air. So prime example, I took a listing agreement. I've never listed a property that was $15 to $20 million before. It was in the senior living space. I didn't even know what an assisted living facility was, right? And a guy just saw something in me that said, that dude's going to put massive action to get this sold for me. Vacant, COVID-19, new asset, brand new, in a market I don't do a ton of work in. And I said, I'll take that on. I'm going to take that on because I want to challenge myself. And the win from that, what I learned from that, and the win from that is being able to be a deal maker, and instead recognizing that I was not going to find an outright buyer for the asset because 1, it was vacant. 2, debt dried up. 3, COVID-19 and assisted living facilities was very difficult to trade any of those assets. Lawsuits were out the wazoo. So what did I do? I went and found joint venture equity to come in, partner with the owner, struck a deal, and they took ownership of the project, and now it's getting leased up. So I took this model of whenever I was developing the building that I lost $225,000 on last year, and reinvented it and said, I learned the lesson from that. And the lesson was, hey, if you can't do everything, or the market will not demand what you're trying to do, you have to pivot. You can either pivot, persist, or wave the white flag. I don't wave a white flag. So I either pivot or I persist. So I pivoted and I persisted through COVID-19, struck a deal. I won't say the price, but it was between $15 and $17 million. So take your guess on that. Struck a joint venture equity deal, and now it's getting leased up. Huge win. Didn't think I had the capacity to be a deal maker like that. Wasn't just a paper pusher. Made cold calls, got the work done, built the relationships, flew them in here to Kansas City, pitched the deal, walked the deal, closed the deal, and it was an awesome, awesome opportunity. So that's a huge win. That's a big catalyst of taking us from where we were last week to getting to where we are this week. And I'm just so excited about that deal. And I learned so much on it. So huge win there. The second big win, my man, is we got a new deal. We got 162 units under contract. FTW Investments has historically brought partners on to help out with balance sheet, with capital raising and liquidity. Well, guess what? We're in a position where we don't have to do that anymore. And this is a large deal, a $9 million deal. So if you know anything about commercial real estate financing, you got to have liquidity and you have to have the net worth to be able to support the loan, especially if it's a recourse loan. And we are able to do that. 162 units under contract, sent a teaser email out. 19 people responded with a term sheet and a deal narrative that I wrote that said, hey, I want to put money into that deal. No offering memorandum, no pro forma, no address, nothing. And the emails came back just in tune, all over the place, into my inbox. And so that was a massive win as well on the business side of things, was getting that deal under contract. Right behind that, we've got
wait, whoa, hold on. Had to do the math. 55,000 a door.
55 a door, baby.
55 a door
in Kansas City, Missouri. Stuff is trading at 75 to 100 a door. We're under contract at 55 a door.
They one bedrooms? What is it?
Twos, ones, and studios. A good mix of all three of them.
What in the world?
Direct to seller, baby. Direct.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you put a deal together.
This is how you
can make money with it.
So that was a big win because it's direct to seller. It's the biggest deal we've ever done internally without outside help. And we're very excited about that. And the investor response was overwhelming. So we've got a big equity raise coming up on that. We got another deal under LOI. It's an office deal, believe it or not. I'm going to be doing 2 office deals here in the next 45 days. And we are in the final, best and final. So you'll hear me talk a lot on LinkedIn that I don't get in bidding wars. And I don't get awarded deals. Okay. It's just not my MO. But when a deal is listed, you follow the process. Now, their best and final said, hey, are you guys willing to come up? No, dude, you got my price. The price is the price. We've got a crazy great track record here in KC. Nobody else is doing Class C apartments, workforce housing that's willing to take this risk on. And we're local. And so anyways, we're in the best and final on a 269 unit deal as well, which we actually may be awarded here in the next week or so. So those are all big wins from the business side of things. On top of that, we put out a marketing coordinator position. We've got some incredible people that are reaching back out. So I'm very excited about that. We hired an intern for the summer. He's starting on June 8th. We've got that going on. And so, I mean, the magnetism is starting to really come alive. And that's very exciting for me. But the biggest win out of all of the things that happened on the business side. And here's another thing too, Jerome. I started expecting this stuff. And a win doesn't necessarily feel like a win yet anymore until you like raise the bar, which we are. It's like, man, I'm just like, that's what's supposed to happen. And until you can get to that perspective of when you take the shot, the ball goes in and everybody's, rah, rah, that's great. You're like, yeah, dude, that's what was supposed to happen, right? That's a cleaner's mentality is, hey, that's going to happen. It is going to be a win. But what a compressor actually does is steps back, accepts that grace and says, awesome, feels that feeling. And that's what continues to fuel that fire. But the biggest win out of all of them, I actually planned something. I planned something for my wife, and that meant more than anything in the world to her. I planned her date for her birthday, and we went to a couple new places. We had caviar for the first time. She took one bite and said, I'm not eating that. That's disgusting. So I, had already bought it. So I had to eat the caviar, but I had to muscle it down. It wasn't very good. But at the end of the day, I planned something. We got home late last night. We had a babysitter, late being like 10 o'clock for 9:45 for me. And my wife looked at me with those eyes and she said, that was the best birthday I've ever had in my life. That was the best birthday I've ever had in my life. And you made that happen. Not just the date, but she got a cake made out of flowers delivered to her. She took off work. She got to spend time with the kids. She got to do all of these things. And that was by far the biggest win, was you made this the best birthday of my life. And that to me is a success, right? You hear all the business stuff. Yeah, that's good. It's good. That's to be expected in my mind. What's not to be expected is having a beautiful wife who everybody sees her and says, "You've had 2 children? What are you talking about? Like what?" She had some, oh man, she had it. I'm not going to go down that route, but she had an outfit on last night that made me feel like the first time I saw her, and I told her, I said, well, I want to make sure that this happens. I want you to have another 100 best birthdays. That would put her at 129. I don't know if we're going to make it that long. I for sure won't. I'm too big. I'm way too big, but she might. She's super healthy. I could definitely see her going 125 plus. So, but when she looked at me and said that, man, that cut to the core. And I'm not going to cry on this one. Go back and listen to 31.8 if you want to hear me crying. But I am going to say that was my by far biggest win of probably the year, because that's been a big focus for me. Getting to 100 million is a huge focus, but also being a hero husband and a hero father is much bigger than both of those. And I spend all the time in the world with the kiddos. Isabella's going through potty training right now. We've had to actually read some parenting books, and she's going off on her own a little bit as well. But when she looked at me and she said, you know what, we're just so blessed. And she rattled off 5 or 6 things that mean the most to her in her life. And she's like, you know what, I feel really good about my life right now. And that's what I want. That's why we do this, right? If I want to have impact on one person, it's obviously her and then my children. I talk about impact being national, international, whatever. That's great. But I don't know you guys, and you get to hear me on a weekly basis, and that's great too. You get to peer into my life a little bit, but I talk about my kids, my family, every single episode, because that's where my focus is. And, I think I've had a lot of exposure to it being done the wrong way, and letting the 100 million get, in the focus, and the family and fitness and faith getting in the rear view mirror. A compressor doesn't allow that to happen. A compressor knows his priorities or her priorities and focuses on them and keeps them in line all of the time. So those are my wins, man.
Whoa. So it's interesting. I think it would have been pretty hard for you to celebrate Taylor the way you did if you hadn't started celebrating successes.
100%.
Feel guilty about celebrating when, you just cut it off. And, there are some instances where we will do it for other people because we care about them and we know it's important for them. But, you still have that kind of holding back. Is it okay? Do I feel all right doing this? And so for you to be able to just lock in and just be totally present, been dealing with the babysitter thing, figuring that out, getting comfortable with it, being carefree, and just being able to enjoy each other and enjoy life, I think is the game.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's amazing for all the people who have influence out in the world with a whole bunch of people they don't know. But if you're not winning the battle at home, what's the point?
There is no point. There is no point. So I want to quickly talk about some losses. I don't have a ton. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. If you see my face, my eyes are probably dragging a little bit. I got up at 4, had to take a 30-minute nap at 4:45 because I was so tired. Because I got in late last night, but that was a choice I made, right? That was a choice I made. And so I didn't use my journal. I don't know why. I don't know why I didn't use my journal. I think I know why a little bit. And I made a big shift a couple weeks ago. I don't use the high performance planner at all anymore. But I do use my intentional day journal to track my big wins, losses, and my habits. But I didn't get in there and track my habits. And therefore I've only worked out once this week. I missed Wednesday, I missed Friday, today. I got some weird pain in my stomach. I don't know what it is. I think I strained a muscle. I might have a hernia. I might be stressed out. I don't know. But I'm listening to it. I'm watching it. You challenged me last week to stop drinking. I didn't have a drink until Thursday with my wife, for her birthday. So I felt great Monday through Wednesday. And, so anyways, I definitely have cut back on some of those things, but I'm still tired. I'm not getting enough sleep.
You got 2 under 2, brother. I don't know that that's actually a thing.
Yeah, that's true. And they've been getting up, you know, and that's a part of it as well. But I don't have a ton of losses this week. You know, I mean, I'm trying to be really objective about some of the things that happen, but I'm pivoting so fast in the moment to say, nope, stop. I've got these tools that I'm pulling out when I feel something coming on. I feel a little negativity. I feel something. I either address it or I use the triad and I make a change. And so I wouldn't have done that in the past. I would have just pushed through. Heart rate's down, which is good. And not just down, you know, from a resting standpoint in the morning and when I'm sleeping, it's down throughout the day. You know, I talked about stress levels last week. I'm coping better. I'm breathing. I am listening to music. I'm finding ways to release the tension and bring the intention so I can continue to be sustainable over a long period of time. And I think also I've got a team, you know, I've got leveragers, and these leveragers are taking so much responsibility, but also stress off of me. And that's lifting me back up as well. So those are some of the losses, man. I didn't use my journal as much because I'm using my productivity system more. I think that's the answer there. You know, by the way, this just in, I just got a text from Taylor. She's listening somewhere in the house. I don't know, but she said another win was when you came to me and apologized before we got in a big fight. You've not done that in 6 months. And you realized that you needed to come to me first, and I usually come to you, and you did that. So I hear you, sweetie, wherever you are out there, and you can hear me. I just announced that one. So thank you for the text, and I love you so much. So that's another win I didn't even write down was addressing that situation and getting ahead of that and being and it reminds me of the book that I read that's like The Crazy Cycle. It was from, you know, Dr. Emerson Eggerichs. And the notion is that, or the theme is that females need love and are driven by love. Men are driven by respect. But when you don't love somebody or you're not showing love, you're not going to get respect. And when you're not respecting somebody, they're not going to feel love. So who's going to be that first person that comes and breaks that crazy cycle? And that was what I did without knowing it. I don't know why I did it. I'm glad I did it. Probably because I have been focusing on humility and trading my expectations for appreciations. But that's another big win that just came through. That just in real time here on the Compression Podcast. I have a Mac. I just all I use is really Macs, and the text messages pop up if I don't turn them off. So she just texted me. So that's another great a great win, and I'm appreciative of her sharing that in real time there.
Wow. Okay. So what about faith? How'd you win in faith this week?
Well, I met with a gentleman I had coffee with who I really respect. He's got 7 children. He is he does the same thing I do, but in the oil and gas industry. And you know, I was telling him about how I've been growing in my faith, and he recommended a program that he went through called SEAL. And I don't remember what it actually is, but how I'm winning in my faith is seeking out new opportunities to have a spiritual director and somebody that can continue to direct me. And that's in the Catholic faith, a priest. So I'll be paired up with a priest if I go through this, which will be great. I've always befriended priests, and mostly young ones that are my age. It's always fun to talk with them and ask them the hard questions and you know, debate with those guys because I'm a Catholic, but I also have my own opinions about a lot of things, and it's always fun and I'm well read and on the Catholic faith. You guys don't see it, but behind Kobe here, there's the Pope and one of my crucifixes. All those books right there are why we're Catholic. You know, the Catechism. I mean, I didn't just stay Catholic because I thought I should. I stayed Catholic because I dove into 15 books and you know, found the truth that I was looking for. And so that's one way, is seeking out those new opportunities. But I also found, and I talked about meditation quite a bit previously, I found an app called Hallow, which is actually a meditation app built by some guys and gals from Notre Dame, the college. And they have my favorite speakers, Bishop Robert Barron. They have Father Mike Schmitz. They have all these people that come on and they guide you through meditations. And what I love about it is I can set the time, but I also get to put my background music in there. And I love birds chirping in the morning. It's just my favorite thing in the world. Sometimes I wish this window would open. It doesn't, but I'll open up the sliding door over here and I got tons of birds. There's trees everywhere. So I got tons of these birds chirping, and it just, it kind of lights me up. But whenever I can't get that at 4 a.m, the birds aren't up yet because I'm beating the birds up, baby. I'm beating the birds up. You heard it here first. Logan Freeman, the compressor himself, beats the birds up. Okay. Anyways, have a little fun. Got to have a little fun on the show. But in all reality, it helps me, get my mind right for the day. And so that's another way. And one of my things that I wrote down that I must get done this week is to use Hallow every single day. So it pairs meditation and prayer and relaxation with me, dude. And I thought I was going to do transcendental meditation, and I don't need that. I'm going to do the Hallow app. It's all there. It pumps me up. It serves 2 purposes for me. And I just love it. And so the guy that I was meeting with, he goes, you know what? I actually found this new app, and he pulled it up and it was Hallow app. So, so cool. But that's another way on the face side that, I'm doing really, really well, with. And, I'm proud to say that, that feels like a new habit for me, which I'm very excited about.
Awesome. So got the holiday weekend coming in, so you'll get an extra day of rest over the weekend, hopefully.
Yeah.
What are you going to get done in the next week? I mean, what are we looking forward to?
Okay, so we've got a couple things that we're looking forward to. And when I don't have a new deal, I get to do things like, I haven't even responded to your email on the Vivid Vision because I haven't been able to get to it yet. But the Vivid Vision, the strategic marketing plan, I'm doing some things in regards to digital marketing and social media. I want to get that moving forward, but whenever I have deals that are live and stuff's closing, that is my priority. And so a big priority for me is to get a plan in place for that and get some actionable steps taken. I've got the thing. I built the thing, the action plan. By the way, Jerome, that email that looked weird from team converted higher than any other email. It booked 9 calls. Can you believe that?
What?
Yeah.
They opened it?
They opened it, responded to it, and booked calls. 3 actions they took from that email.
Do it again.
I know that. And even Corey saw it and was like, hey man, what is this, a phishing email? Like, it doesn't look. And I was like, hold on, let me check Active Campaign. I got in and looked at I was like, holy cow, it worked. So shout out to Aaron Hoos. You know what you're doing. Nice job. Anyways, but I want to get more of that. One thing that's been awesome is when a new investor signs up on a form and gets added, I don't have to get back in my email and send them my pre-scripted email. They already get into the marketing campaign, and it's just moving. It's going. And, I've eased my investor base into receiving an email almost from me daily. And I know that's a lot, but it's conditioning them to open emails, to see them, and people aren't unsubscribing, which was my main worry. So now that I've got the thing built, I want to get on more podcasts. So those have been booked. By the way, I utilized my productivity and delegation system to get those booked. I didn't get yours booked. I didn't see that come through.
Yeah, no love over here.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll
get it.
We'll get it on there. I'll talk to Crystal and see what's going on. But
it's probably not big enough. That's probably what it is. It's not.
Oh no, I don't even know the size of anything. But I want to pour some gasoline on that fire now that it's built, and I want to do it the right way. Yes. So the podcast circuit, like we talked about, is a big one that's being booked out, getting my talk tracks down, and also doing some digital marketing in regards to driving some traffic to it. So that's one big initiative, is on the marketing side. The second big initiative is launching our new capital raise. And, I've been doing it in a very strategic way. Obviously I'm in the Raise Masters program, and that they've helped me out a little bit on that side of things. I'm thankful for those guys to bounce ideas off of. But I'm in a position now where I have to pick the right partner, not, hey, you don't have any partners. I have the opportunity for all these upcoming deals to pick the right one. Who do we want to come into FTW and help us blow up? And I'm not talking about, necessarily co-GP scenarios. We have those, but this is family office money. These are the big dogs, and we've broken into them. There's a big family here. I've got their watch on right now. It's the Garmin family, and they have one of the largest family offices here in Kansas City, and they're very excited about partnering potentially. So there's just fun things like that are happening, that are kind of moving and shaking along, that we feel really good about, and we want to make sure those are strategic partnerships. Probably too early to say on this one, but I'll tease it. We thought about bringing in, a potential new partner. I don't think we're going to do that. We're pivoting on that strategy after a long deliberation process, and I think that's moving forward. So we're gonna continue to do that. We're hiring for a financial controller, so we're getting that out in the ethos to bring somebody in to make sure that all this money that's going from this account to all these other accounts are taken care of. And I'm proud to say too, man, and I'll announce this, that we made a big property management transition on a lot of our properties, which is going fantastic. Investor reporting is being done without me having to do it now. It's just showing up in my Slack channel, and it looks way better and has better information because we have a team doing it. But on our new project, we're managing the deal. We're building out the service line to do some property management in-house, especially on heavier turn assets. Okay, I'm talking 37 down units. All right, we're not talking about a Class A asset with all the amenities. We're not managing that. But as you're implementing a business plan, the closer you can stay to it, the more control you have from every single aspect: construction, leasing, management, maintenance. You get to give your investors better returns, better transparency, and you mitigate more risk because it's all on you. And so we have the capacity to start that. So in turn, we are also hiring for property managers. So it's just so much that's happening. Oh, by the way, we're buying the office building that we're in right now, and we're moving from 2,000 square feet to 3,000 square feet. And we have room for 14 people. And that's going to be pretty tight here pretty soon as well. So FTW's 7 right now. It's going to be 10 very soon, and probably 14 after that. So I continue to think through company culture, and that's why I've focused on the vivid vision, leadership. Revenue driving activities is where I mostly spend my time, but sometimes I have to zoom out of those a little bit and focus on more of the business type of stuff. So that's what I'm focused on right now. I'm once a deal gets under contract, I really let everybody else still go hunt, and I go block and tackle. So I'm in the blocking and tackling mode right now. I'm absolutely happy to do that, but we have 3 live deals, and they need to be implemented and taken care of. And that's what I'm going to do for the next 30 days. So big focus is getting debt, because everybody says debt's cheap, debt's all the way out there. You're not placing loans because you have no idea what's going out there. It's not as easy as you think. Everybody focuses on the equity side. The debt is 70% of your capital stack. Get the better debt out there. You have to have relationships and get that stuff done. Nobody focuses on that. It should be its own podcast in and of itself, but that's not my job. So I'm going to be blocking and tackling for the next 30 days. I'm super excited about the 50.6. We're going to continue to push on that. I'm even more ecstatic about the feedback I've been getting from my close friends, family. And oh, by the way, I forgot to tell you this. I'm also focused on selling 3 of our assets. So taking to market 75 units and that whole process, getting the numbers that we need, marketing it the right way, and finding an asset to trade into is a big priority. So I don't know how many I listed off there, Jerome, but there's probably 15 that I'm going to be focused on right now. But the main ones are the deals in the hand, because deals are so hard to come by right now. It's the number one thing that drives our business, finding the right partners to put in those deals And executing on those is going to be the next 30 days of my life. So you're going to be hearing me talk a lot about the execution of deals here very, very soon, because I want to continue to be a master deal maker. And you always say you control the money, you control the deal flow, you got a good business. And that's what I'm building.
Yeah, it's no question about it. So, I mean, we're getting to the end. What's the quote?
Okay.
From Beyonce? Is it, SZA? Who is it this week?
Okay, so a little less flashy this week, but I think more pointed to what we've talked about. It's from James Clear's newsletter. And if you read this or you hear this and you cannot get past paralysis by analysis, I have no other feedback, no other advice for you. I mean, here it is. He took exactly what I've been trying to say and put it into a few lines. Most of the excuses I make, not enough time, not enough money, not enough knowledge, not the right connections, were just ways to avoid the real bottleneck. Not enough courage. There was always a small step I could have taken if I had the guts to take it. And that's from James Clear. So stop making excuses. There it is. I have in my productivity system, my getting things done system, I capture different themes. This theme is under paralysis by analysis because people ask me all the time. I send this to them. I don't hear from them because that's not the answer they want. That's not the answer they want.
Read it again. Read it again. Come
most
on,
of this
that again.
Most of the excuses I made, not enough time, money, knowledge, or connections, were just a way to avoid the real bottleneck, which is not enough courage. There was always a small step I could have taken if I had the guts to take it. You got to have guts. You got to have guts. That's what it's all about, people. 6 months in, not even 6 months in, 50.6 million, a lot on the horizon. Faith is good. Family is there. Fitness lacking. Future looks pretty good. So I will just ask folks, how much courage do you have? It's not recognizing fear. It's seeing fear and taking action despite the fear. There's always a small step that you can take if you have enough guts. I am the grittiest person you will ever meet. I'll put my sandpaper up against anybody. I'm rough around the edges. I got grit. I might look good from a dressing standpoint because that's my wife's dealing, but you get down to the nuts and bolts. I'm gritty, man. I'm gonna grind it out. That's how I made it to the NFL. Block to the whistle. There's a game going on, not from the snap to the whistle, but from the whistle to the snap. And that's the game that I play, the one that people don't even know that's happening. It's because of the grittiness. It's because of the courage that I'm willing to take on a regular basis. Get out there, put yourself out there, take some action. Stop saying paralysis by analysis. Take that out of your language. Just delete, Control-Alt-Delete, force quit that term from your vocab. It cannot be in there. There is no such thing. It's an excuse. That's all it is. And so I want to leave people with that thought, but I also want to just say thank you. Thank you for this community. Thank you to Jerome. If you're listening every single week, it's working. And I say that every week, but it's because every week we're stepping it up. 12 months ago, 4 people, 3 really, and an executive admin. Now 7, going to be 10. Everything is moving in the right direction, not just professionally, but personally, but it takes intentionality and it takes some guts and it takes creativity. Do not kill that fire within you. We talked about fire last week a lot. You got to find it, you got to ignite it, and you got to keep it burning. Any closing thoughts?
No, sir. Take courage. There it is.
Take courage. We'll see you guys next week. Tune in. We got another awesome episode coming next week. I don't even know what it's going to be about because I didn't know what this was going to be about. But anybody else that does not have scripted podcasts, come talk to me, or guests that come on. How do you create content on a regular basis? Are you confident enough to bring the fire every single week, to be raw, authentic? I don't know. But I am, and that's what we do here on the Compressor Podcast. I know I said I was going to stop talking, but I just have to say this one last thing. This is the postscript. Somebody asked me, 2 people have asked me, why you do Compression Podcast? It has nothing to do with real estate. I'm like, it has everything to do with real estate. I've already beat you. And I'm sorry, I'm reading Winning by Tim Grover. Actually, I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm in this mentality. It was like, if you don't know that has nothing to do with real estate, it has everything to do with real estate, then I've already won. You're not my competition. And these are my competition. I said, this is a podcast that is my own accountability system. Who else has that? That costs a lot of money, by the way. A lot is relative, okay, whatever. But it is not cheap to do this. My time, the editing, all of it. It's not cheap. Okay. Jerome just doesn't show up here and hang out with me for an hour because he wants to. I mean, he wants to, but there is a component to this that Jerome is being paid to be here, to coach me. And that's the first time I think I've said this on the Compression Podcast, but it's because I had this conversation with somebody earlier. Because I don't need another friend telling me, oh man, good job.
You're great.
I don't need
You're
that.
Awesome.
I don't need that. Nobody needs that. What I need is somebody that's going to hold me accountable. And that's what you get here. That's what I'm doing, is showing me my blind spots so I can pivot, persist, and not wave the white flag. All right, that's it. I'm signing off. I will talk to you guys next week. Hey, compressors, if something you heard struck you, made you feel a little bit uncomfortable, good. Head on over to compressionpodcast.com. And then you can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast at. If you feel inclined to, please leave us a review. It's obviously helpful. But instead, I'm going to call you out today. I'm going to call you out and make sure that you do your part, sharing this message by sharing it with one person that might need to hear what we talked about today. Be great. Nothing else pays.